Hello everyone, and welcome to Jane Bloodborne's House of Eyeballs. Let me just get this onto my screen so I can actually play the game. How's everyone doing this evening? How's everyone doing? Ah, excellent. Lots of cool friends in the chat. Welcome. So, if you're just joining us, we're streaming Bloodborne, and we're just taking a sort of a slower, more nuanced journey through the world of Yharnam, and we're just having a chat about what it all means, what this world is like, sort of the implications of all of the stuff that you might gloss over if you're playing this game for the first time. This is hopefully going to be an enjoyable stream for people who have played Bloodborne 10 times, or people who have played Bloodborne no times, or even people who've never played Bloodborne. Never even heard of Bloodborne. So, oh, everyone's saying hi in the chat. I love it when people say hi in the chat. It's my favourite. Okay, so if you didn't catch the last stream, which fair enough, we went all the way through from the beginning of the game through to Central Yharnam, and then to through to the Cathedral Ward. So on the way we defeated the Cleric Beast, a horrifying religious mutant, and Father Gasquagny, a hunter who was maybe more like us than we'd care to admit. We also ended up defeating our vicious nemesis, Eileen, the Crow Lady, who was cruelly trying to keep strong equipment from us. And yeah, we basically ended up where we are now. So today we're going to sort of progress on this path, but rather than surging straight into the heart of the Cathedral Ward, we're just going to take a slightly roundabout route and encounter some of this game's more textured areas, because there is definitely a path where you can move through this really quite fantastic crypt, sort of church-like area, and you can just sort of surge through here and beat the area boss, and there's like a gate up there that you can open. We're not going to do that yet, because there's another way that we can go, and I am going to try and remember which way it is. So this is closed from this side. So if you thought Yharnam was gothic, let me tell you something about the Cathedral Ward. The Cathedral Ward is gothic as hell. We have these lantern friends kicking around, and they're nasty. They'll heck you right up. As usual, if the audio is mixed poorly, please let me know so I can fix it. I've had a little fiddle with it since we were streaming last. I should be slightly more listenable than I was last time, but always welcoming feedback on the audio mixing. So that weird thing. That's one of the first cosmic events we're going to encounter on this playthrough of Bloodborne, and I want you to just look real hard at that, and just keep it in mind, because it's going to come up again later. So I just want you to think about what that might imply. It seems that some kind of space-time distortion is waiting for us as we try and claim this item, which, you know, is kind of arranged in like a tribute-like fashion, surrounded by candles and stuff. So, yeah, remember that one. We're not gonna explore that much further just yet. We'll get there. One thing I think I am gonna do is apply this top hat, because Jane's looking good in that top hat, I think. So these guys, they kind of play into the religious imagery that this area is trying to work with, and I think it works with it really well because as we've seen, we've already seen like beastly clerics and stuff. So monstrous religion is definitely something of a theme being touched on in this particular area of Bloodborne, and the church, like the monstrous church, is one of the major factions in this game. Like the history of the game is very, very heavily influenced by the desires of this church, or the healing church as they call themselves. I've just noticed that that area over there I think is actually quite a significant late game area. It's kind of cool that you can see it from here. Like, something pretty serious happened in that window over there. But we'll get there, probably like 20 hours from now. But, you know, it's fun. Hey Regression, hey Lotus, hey everyone. Oh, I'm glad you all came down. I love it when people come down. It's my favourite thing for the stream. And so now we get down to this lower area, we have another mob who are just kind of patrolling this crypt, which I think is interesting because we have this higher up area that's patrolled by sort of priest father type characters, and then the mob are just, you know, down low with their gross dogs. So we clear out this mob. I think we're probably going to have a look around the outside for some goodies. Get this mob friend as well. Oh, he's gone. He gone. We are looking to progress into that crypt. Oof, transformation attacks. I love them. An easy way to sell me on a video game is to tell me that it has snappy animations, and there are few animations snappier than these transformation attacks. Like, look at this. Oof. It's good. I like it a lot. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. They should put the Bloodborne protagonist in Smash Bros. I'm sorry if everyone who wants Solaire in Smash Bros, but really it should be the Bloodborne protagonist. Like, I know Solaire has the lore, but like, come on. So yeah, the reason we came up here first is because progress through this crypt is gated by that sarcophagus there, which we are going to move with this. Neat. How about that? So Lotus is asking if by the Bloodborne protagonist I mean Eileen, and I'd concede to that. Eileen could be the Smash Bros character, but only if Jane Bloodborne was allowed to be the secondary, like an alternate color for Eileen, because Jane deserves it. She's been waiting so long to get into Smash. This is what's this guy's name? Is it Alfred? I can't remember. Ooh, he's got me sussed. It is Alfred.
discuss the things we've learned.
So, for reasons that will become clear later, I don't like this guy very much. But unlike Eileen, who did nothing to hurt me, I'm going to leave this guy alone. So I guess cooperate.
Oh, very good. Very good indeed. Take this to celebrate our acquaintance.
Oh, fire paper. I love fire paper.
Beast hunting is a sacred practice. May the good blood guide your way.
So this guy's already talking about good and bad blood, which we're gonna come into some pretty significant opposition with later on in this playthrough. Wow, yeah, his mutton chops are they're extensive, aren't they? I also love how he refuses to move his lips when talking. That's the mark of a solid dude. But we're gonna leave him alone for now. Maybe we'll kill him later. I'll think about it. Anyway, for now, we're going to return to this crypt. I think there's another friend in here. Yeah, there he is. Okay. Can I sneak him? They're just sort of contemplating that item, which, fair enough. Owned. Right, yeah, so we're going to go past this sarcophagus. See, already the symbolism is heavy. We have a sort of sarcophagus-y coffin type thing covering over an entrance to a pretty significant location in the game. I wonder what that might imply. Who can say? So, more crypt. Some funny looking maidens with well, you know, just even people with robes on, I guess. That one's pretty tall. Anyway, loot. Oh, blood gemstones. I love those. Owned. So yeah, there's a wolf in the basement of the crypt. That's interesting. Not where you'd normally think to keep a wolf, I'd have thought. So we have, on a higher level, priests, and then the mob, and now wolves, beasts. What could be below the beasts? Let's find out. This is a neat level design, because, you know, you descend the ladder, so you descend the stairs, right? But if you ascend the stairs, oh hey look, there's some loot. Nice. That's a nice little rewarding you for paying attention. That's a very tiny level design thing, but lots of very tiny level design things makes a video game. So, you know, it's cool. I dig it. And here we find a lantern, which I'm gonna light. Because now we can return to the Hunter Stream from here. So, we're just on the cusp of this new area. And the goal for today's stream is to do this area and its boss, and if we have time, maybe the one after. But this is going to be our focus, because there's a lot to say about this area, and it's cool as heck. So, we have this big foreboding door with a notice pinned to the door, which is some fun, what is it, Martin Lutherian imagery. This town is long abandoned, hunters not wanted here. What could it mean? Obviously our only action that involves doors is to open them, so let's go into this place, in which we're clearly not wanted. So this is a fun surprise, right? Where is he? Is that him over there? Yes. So, this is the next big character. Well, big for Bloodborne. This is the next big character we're going to meet. His name is Jura, and he is a hunter. Or an ex-hunter, I suppose. Because, as he said, this place, as we will come to know it, Old Yharnam, has been, as he said, burned and abandoned by men, now home only to beasts. They're no threat to those above. So, what does, he's not hunting them. He wants me to leave them alone. What does he want? That's interesting, right? Because you have this place of aggressive enemies, who another presumably rational human being consider to be victims, or no threat, that you should just leave them alone. He wants you to reconsider killing for the sake of killing because you're a hunter, which is the exact opposite of what Gehrman told us to do about an hour ago, which is to just start killing and see what sticks. Just kill to make the pain go away. We also have this the burning. So we have all these creatures on crucifixes, which is some fairly unsubtle Judeo-Christian imagery. And this is the burning and abandonment by men that he mentioned. So as we go through this area, we'll get some subtle environmental clues that lead us to what the hell he's talking about when he says that this place was burned and abandoned by men. To make this less painful and so I can sort of take my time, I am going to kill these enemies as we go through, but maybe while I'm doing that, you'll get a good look at them and see what we're looking at here. So, these are the enemies in this area. They're kind of animalistic, right? But they're also human-shaped. They have the glowing eyes, and they also have this sort of wiry hair that, if you think we've kind of seen before, the wiry hair is something that on the last stream I pointed out was happening to the people of the mob. Like the lower class mob characters had these deformed, distended arms with strange wiry hair growing out of them. Another connection that we can make to these, and possibly the reason that enemy was put just ahead of us, is that they look kind of almost like this animalistic tendency. It makes them kind of wolf-like. Like they have very similar attack types, and they have these big claws, and they have big teeth, and once the wiry hair begins to cover the whole body, suddenly it's not so unfamiliar. So it doesn't seem unreasonable to suggest that maybe these things are like a missing link between the people of the mob and the beasts that they're terrified of. And that is really interesting, because there are only so many mob models, and most of them have this weird distended arm, wiry hair thing going on. So if this place has been burned and abandoned by men, what for? And if these things were all once members of the mob, who abandoned them? Who was human enough to leave? And this is a big part of why Jura has sympathy for them, because he recognizes that these creatures are victims. They were driven to this by the very blood craze that's currently sweeping central Yharnam, upper Yharnam. This theme of sort of altitude depicting, I guess, class relations is not uncommon for the Souls series, and I guess not uncommon for any media, really. But a game so fixated, a game series as fixated with verticality as this one uses it very well. So we can't really see it from here, but something interesting is about to happen at the top of that tower. We'll see it shortly. Because Jura wasn't just... Jura wasn't fronting when he said that he would ward us off. So watch out for that. Also, we have a second type of enemy. Now, I'm going to get hit by one of them once, if I can. See that bar there? That's them applying a poison. Which I think is cool. They're a kind of, you know, almost cleric-like analog to the enemies that we've been fighting up until now, which I like. And Soulsborne loves its poison enemies. And these fires with crucifixes with the beast people on them, I like them a lot because they feed into what I was talking about on the last stream, where the exact timeline of the events surrounding Yharnam is not quite clear. Because, as Jura says, this place has been abandoned and burned by men. But these fires are still burning. When did any of this happen? It's kind of impossible to say, and I dig that. So yeah, I'm going to try and keep a look on that tower for when it becomes active, because it becomes active in a big way. I'm going to try and lead these friends up to here so we can not have to worry about them later. So Jura acknowledges our skill there. He knows the hunters, as you know, as I've said, because he once was one. As is, I don't know when I don't know when he says it, but it is definitely, it becomes clear at some point, and I guess this is a hint at that. So, guess this becomes active when we move into this area. Yeah, there we go. He must stop us. So, the hunter Jura has a chain gun, which we can't really see from here, but once we do see, is pretty cool. Like it really fits into the gothic aesthetic going on here. Like, I dig that a lot. So, Whelpkelp in the chat is saying that they really like how all of the statues here are reaching out as if to accept something. Yes, that is interesting. What's really interesting about it is that the imagery is very consistent in that every single statue, they are reaching out as if to accept something. They're also blinded. They've all got things covering their eyes, and the theme of blindness, of having no meaningful way to interpret the things that you're reaching out for, is a big deal in Bloodborne. Big deal. As you may remember, Gasquagni, his eyes were, I believe they were explicitly covered. And for any character whose eyes aren't explicitly covered, they're only ever framed, well, you know, many characters whose eyes are not explicitly covered are framed with their eyes non-visible. So yeah, one of the reasons people don't like coming to Old Yharnam, which is a shame because it's a really interesting area, one of the reasons people don't like coming to Old Yharnam is that for as long as we're visible from that tower, Jura will be shooting at us. So we have to do the best that we can to avoid all that chain gun stuff. Oh hey, Tom's in the chat. Hi Tom. So this is another type of enemy in this area, which is the big cleric, old thing. They have a lot of health, and they do a lot of poison damage. And they have one of those big throws. Everybody loves those big throws because they're so telegraphed. They're so heavily telegraphed that whenever you get hit by one, you feel like a real Burke, because you just wish you hadn't been hit. And they always do huge damage, and I really like the beat where they hit you, actually, because you get hit, you get that moment of, oh, I've been hit, how terrible. And then you get another moment where you hope that you're okay, because sometimes you survive. You don't always think about how much damage they do. You know it's going to be a lot. You don't know it's going to be enough to definitely kill you, and I dig that. I dig the moment of suspense after you've been hit by the attack, but before it's damaged you. So that's Jura giving us a big old shoot again. Is this just a different way down here? I think it might be. I'm just gonna progress, or try to progress. So this is a fun little room. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a good look at it before it activates for me, but basically keep an eye on those pots. Yeah, they're full of big old explosive, which is a real sad time if Jura's gun gets on him while you're running through there. And heaven knows a lot of people have tried to run through here for reasons that will become clear in short order. We're going to do our best to dismantle this puzzle by bringing the enemies out. Rude. Okay, and we're going to get in here so we can't get hit by that gun. Ow. Yeah, see, that happens. It's a bad time. Just not going to try and talk when the crows are attacking, because I don't think there is a way to fix the volume so that the game is audible and I'm also audible while the crows are yelling, because they're definitely one of the loudest sounds in the game. Alright. So we're making good progress through Aldeanum. I'm not feeling too bad about this. Again, we have a lot more. We have, you know, the same old, just really gothic style. So I'm sort of ruining the soulsiness by looking around all of the corners. But, you know, it's a game that likes to reward you for noticing these things. I'm gonna just try and oof, big poison hit. Yeah, you don't want to get hit by those things twice. They'll poison you good. In fact, I think just for fun, I'm going to attach an antidote just in case I need one. So Dean is saying that one of their favourite things is when the game throws a variation on the crows at you. Yes, I love that a lot too. It unfortunately doesn't happen for maybe another 20 hours. So, yeah. It's gonna happen, I promise. I promise we'll get there. I've made a commitment to Jane Bloodborne and her house of eyeballs. Speaking of Jane Bloodborne, how you doing there, Jane? You're looking a little bloody. Okay, this is a rough area. Oof. See, look at that. I can just make terrible, terrible attacks because the rally system will just pick me right up again. I love it. What a cool video game. That chain gun is still firing despite having definitely no available angle to hit us, which I think is adorable. But I think it can probably hit us if we go for that item, so it needs to be quick. Yeah. So we continue to descend into Old Yharnam, and I think maybe there's a shortcut coming up somewhere. I can't remember. Is this open from this side? No. That was weird. Is that audio changing sides? Yeah. So the audio is swapping really weirdly from side to side as we look over down there. That's really weird. Oh well. Oh god. Okay. So this is the worst thing about Old Yharnam, I think. I mean, some of the things are annoying, like the gun tower is difficult to deal with, but I think it's an interesting and unique challenge. What is a not interesting challenge is these NPC hunter fights. They suck. I hate them. I'm gonna do everything in my power to avoid these, despite having just pulled one without wanting to. No. Ugh. Oh Jesus. This is going to put me in a terrible position. Same. Aggressive backstepping. Whew. I was looking away from the screen when that happened. Oh, I do not have the damage to fight this person. You need to visceral attack them, where you just don't do reasonable damage, which is a shame. So here, this is interesting. So this is a construct quite similar to the sort of, I don't really know what I'd call it. It was kind of like a chopping plant, I guess. But, ooh, okay. I think I knocked over a pot and pulled some enemies. So I'm gonna get a better look at that. No, what's going on? Something's going on. There's some screaming going on there. I don't really know what just happened, but I feel like I should, but I don't. Someone saying in the chat is saying drop the chandelier. How do I do that? I don't know how you do that. Oh, do I have to get onto a different platform, or? Oh yeah, that's it. Some of the enemies in this room scream a lot. See, they seem to be coming my way again. They're just kind of pooling at the bottom of this walkway, which, you know, I think I'm okay with. these big ones that do the screaming. Ooh. So yeah, we're just gonna try and work our way down this this structure. So Punch Nazis are saying go around to the tower way outside of this building. I'm not super familiar with the alternate ways to navigate this zone. Is this up the ladder, or I don't know. I mean, I do want to see the whole area, really. I'm not just trying to get through the game as fast as possible. And if we go up here, if we go all the way up here, we trigger a fight with Juro, which I'm not super interested in. Don't want to do that at all. This way, right. I guess we could have a look at this, just to see if we can access a shortcut, because I'm interested in shortcuts through this area, because I'll probably want to go through here more than once. Maybe while I'm off stream. Okay. Is this how we drop the chandelier? I see. Okay, I get it. It's cool. Oh boy, time for some fiddly pillow walking. How do we... Wow, rough. Now that thing's on fire. I wonder if it'll still be on fire when I get down there to talk about it. I think to minimize the risk of me just falling off here and dying, I'm going to go back around the right way. Maybe get that item some other time. Because running through this area again is going to be not going to make particularly exciting viewing. I am going to drop down here. Take a little bit of damage, and we're gonna go through this place as the Lord intended. I'm gonna just try and take it nice and slow. Pin all the enemies. Pull the enemies one at a time. So what I want you to be thinking about as we descend through Old Yharnam is all of the ways in which this level design, and as a result this society, mirrors Central Yharnam, and what that implies for, I guess, the nature of the hunt and the nature of the abandonment and burning of Old Yharnam. Because the game's trying super hard here, especially in this position. Oh, that's a good picture. I like that a lot. The game's trying super hard here to make us think about Central Yharnam in the context of Old Yharnam. So I just want you to just have a little think about that. What could it mean? Oh, you can walk down to there from up top, can't you? Okay. Oh hey, the cat's here. What up, cat? She'll probably start yelling in a minute. She does that. That's a thing she does. She yells. I love that they take the time to just scream at you, because you get to hit them while they do that. Deanie614 is in the chat doxing my pet, which I'm sad about. Jeez, big damage. I mean, big poison. I mean, I like it. I guess you kind of want to get the hit on them early, right? Come on, attack me. Attack me, you coward. that's another super fun thing about the trick weapon system. So like in Dark Souls, where you have this system where your weapon has its, you know, standard attack patterns with its lights, its heavies, you get a jump attack and like a kick attack, or sometimes a kick replacement attack. In the later Dark Souls games, they decide that this isn't enough, and they start adding weird things like weapon arts that reward you for, I don't know, that reward you for weapon-centric playstyles rather than, say, you know, dual weapons and pyromancy stuff. But like in this game, because you have different weapon sets, so you have your lights, you have your heavies, and you have your, like, you know, dash attacks or whatever. But because you can work transformation attacks into that combo, figuring out effective ways of attacking different enemies is like, it more than doubles in complexity, because your attack routes can be, you know, light, transform, attack, and then if you've got more stamina than I have, you can transform back in that same combo. I really like that. I think that's super cool. It just means that, like, this game having comparatively like 10% the weapons that Dark Souls does, but it's like infinitely more interesting, I think. I really like this game. God, that looks so good. Hello, friend. Megaspell is in the chat asking if my stream username is a pun on Curly. It is. I couldn't get Curly with a Y, so I went Curl E Brace like my Twitter handle. And Curly Brace is a character in Cave Story, who is indeed named after the Curly Brace, the character, as in the punctuation character. Other characters in that game include Quote. I don't know if there are any other characters named after punctuation, which is something I probably should know off the top of my head, but I don't. So yeah, this is some striking imagery, huh? So we have this horrifying beast, itself possibly a graduation of this type of beast, or something else entirely, and we've covered it in fire, because we're a cool hunter. And what's it got on it? Is that, like, it looks like skin. Is it covered in its own skin? Has it been flayed and strung up for us? Which is not an uncommon punishment and the kinds of gothic aesthetic we're looking to interrogate here. So that's interesting. It's also got like stakes in its back, which is cool as heck. So yeah, keep that one in mind. So we're now at the bottom of this. We've got some more crows to deal with. There's a lot of crows. Simmer down, crows. So Regression is in the chat saying that picture, that sort of strung up beast in there, is very reminiscent of Adam from Neon Genesis Evangelion, and it is a testament to how completely ridiculous Neon Genesis Evangelion is. That Regression is calling that absolutely correctly, as in that is exactly what that image looks like. But I think in maybe the last episode of the show, or the last but one episode of the show, they tell you that that's not actually Adam, and that when Misato says, yeah, that's Adam, she's just wrong. I think someone has lied to her, or I don't know. It's weird. Evangelion's weird. I love it, but it's weird. Yeah. So actually, imagery of Lilith, interestingly. Adam ends up being that weird embryo that Gendo implants into his hand. So chat is right, I think we are coming up on a shortcut. Yeah, here we go. So now we can run down to where we just were. We can skip the church, which is great, because the church is a hassle. But... So one last thing I want to cover, I think it's probably fastest if we go back down this way actually. One last thing I want to cover before we move on is back in the church actually. Back with our friend on the cross. So all the way here we've seen, well actually much more earlier on, closer to Central Yharnam, closer to civilization, we've seen images of these beasts, or the earlier forms of these beasts, covered in, crucified and covered in fire. Also, this gives us, you just saw it was cowering from the flames. They hate the fire. In fact, if you use a torch, they cower away from it. They don't like it. But this is a very interesting idea. This image here in amongst these crucifixion images closer to Central Yharnam. Because closer to Central Yharnam we have the regular inhabitants of Old Yharnam crucified and set on fire because they fear the flames, and also, you know, fire kills you when you get burned. However, this thing is crucified down here in a church, ostensibly being maintained by these strange creatures. So what we get from that is that they feel the same way about this thing that quote-unquote normal people from Yharnam feel about them. Which is pretty cool, right? Like, even at these depths of what the people of Central Yharnam would have you believe was monsterhood, still there is something significantly worse to fear. And as we will find out, it's waiting for us at the very bottom of Old Yharnam. Running through with that theme of altitude. Chat is talking about, among other things, Evangelion and blood. Evangelion's extremely bloody. Like, pretty much every angel, when it dies, just sprays out just the most blood. In fact, well, actually, pardon me, it's LCL. But one of my favorite things that the rebuild does is that it just so the rebuild of Evangelion, the remake movies, just completely dispenses with any pretense at subtlety. And instead of the LCL being orange, it is just red, blood red. Which is great, because the very beginning of them, well, actually no, as soon as Shinji sees the sea in the rebuild of Evangelion, you just see that it's the sea of blood, and that's just what it looks like. And everyone's like, yeah, this is normal. We have salt, we have some, you know, simulation of water in Tokyo 3, but the sea is just blood. That's just how it is. It's how it's always been. So chat is asking, well, Megaspell in chat is asking, should I watch the Evangelion movie or anime or anything? The answer to that question can really only be maybe. I mean, it really depends on who you ask. I I love Neon Genesis Evangelion. I love almost everything about it. I think it's fantastic. It's one of my favorite. Well, it's one of my favorite series of anything. Like, it depicts so many cool things in really cool ways, and it's just great to watch. So I think if you were to take it from me, I would say that you should watch all of Evangelion, starting with the anime. Watch the anime all the way through. Oh, hello. It's a weird shrunken head lizard thing. Yeah, watch the anime all the way through, and then when you're done with that, watch End of Evangelion, and then if you liked that, well, yeah, I mean, obviously stop if you don't like it at any point, but if you liked that, watch Rebuilds of Evangelion, because I think they're great. They're completely ridiculous in a fantastic way. Like, End of Evangelion gets a little bit of shtick for being maybe slightly too self-serious, but I love that. I love it. I love the show a lot, and I kind of dig it taking those themes just super seriously. I also dig the intense contempt it has for you for enjoying Evangelion. But, you know, I can understand why some people don't dig that. Wolves. I hate wolves. This is an anti-wolf stream. Come on. That hurts. Luckily we just got our shortcut, so we can rush there, I guess. Not super fast, but fast-ish. Because if I'm not mistaken, we have not yet unlocked the pathway through there. Yeah, the shortcut design in this area has a kind of interesting, fun little thing where you get a sort of half shortcut, so you move halfway through this zone and then skip the church, and then you unlock a shortcut right down the bottom that sort of bridges the two. It brings you up here, and then you can get between them, which I quite like. But as it stands, we're going to have to sort of schlep our way back through here. I'm not going to kill all of these again, because that would be boring. I'm going to try and run past as many of them as I can. I'm not too attached to those blood echoes, so that's fine, I guess. This is a hard room to run through, because that happens. But I think I'll be okay. Oh, never mind. Never mind. That's big damage. You explode out of that wall. Okay, that's fine. We're basically at the shortcut now. There it is. See you, nerds. Yeah, Neon Genesis Evangelion is not long. Like, pretty much anyone, well, not pretty much anyone, but a lot of people can watch that pretty comfortably, I think. No. That's an interesting thing about these enemies, is they have sort of medium damage, very low startup attacks that they sort of start flailing at you when you're close to them, which again encourages this use of the rally system. Like This is something you'll start to notice in the sort of, I guess, mid-early game here, is that the game starts doing things to nudge you slightly harder at using the game's core mechanics, just in case you didn't get them. And the boss of this area is a big, big, big example of this, which I will talk about at some length, because I really like it. I'm going to try and attract just one of these walls, if I can. But it looks like I can not. So that's a bother. Also appears to be quite low on bullets, which is a real pain. So yeah, we get all the way to the bottom and we see what are pretty unequivocally city streets, like they're paved. There we go. Which is maybe not what you'd expect for a place that, you know, you've kind of been led to believe is a pit of you know, just misery and death. This was like pretty clearly a, maybe not a particularly nice sort of town city, but it definitely was one until recently. No, give me my health. There we go. Owned. These are good to get bloodstone shards from. That's worth knowing. So there's another one of our big doors here, which, if I'm not mistaken, we can't open from this side. Yeah, okay. But I do believe we can activate another shortcut up here. So yeah, just like the level design here is, well, the sort of I guess the set design here is maybe not what you'd expect. Like, it's clearly it was clearly a pretty sophisticated place. Like, there's cages on all the windows and on the doors, which again leads you to believe, gets your mind racing about what exactly happened here. Like, there's cages on every single window, so people clearly lived here for some time after things went terrible. But obviously now there's not a whole lot going on. Does a wolf explode out of one of these walls? I think they might do. And we have the trappings of civilization. We have all of these statues. Like, the church was clearly involved here, but now they're nowhere to be seen. They haven't saved anyone. Oh yeah, this is it. Rude. Okay. So, yeah, they explode out of here, which I do believe is our shortcut that we're looking for. Oh, hello. So yeah, I'm going to activate this shortcut because just up ahead there is something we will probably have to try more than once. Some more bloodstone shards. Like uses of very small ascending spaces, I guess you'd call them, sort of, you know, ways to make the player move upwards, but packed into a very small, like, lateral location is something that Soulsborne uses, like, extremely well. It's why these places, you know, everyone always talks about how FromSoft games have this amazing sense of verticality, and clever uses of spiral staircases like this one is most of how it works. Or, you know, it pulls a lot of weight in how this works, because it means that, you know, as long as you wrap the level around the right way, you can just, you know, tunnel up and down in a really satisfying way. It makes the space feel very continuous without too much extra legwork. You just have to make sure that these spaces match up again at the end, which the FromSoft team do extremely well and looks really good when they do it. So what I'm gonna do now is so you see, here we are back up at the bottom, well, at the lantern for Oldiana. So because we can now get down to that place really easily, I'm gonna just nip back to the Hunter's Dream to spend some of these souls before we continue. Welcome back, Eden. How was dinner? Was it good? Right. So I think we could probably only get 1 or 2 levels up out of these souls, echoes even. Oh no, fair few. And we're going to put them into, yeah, probably stamina, because we like having stamina. Yeah, that's a nice little bit of bar. I'm going to leave, and then because we're pretty low, we're going to buy as many quicksilver bullets as we can buy, which is not too many, but it's a fair few. Okay. Angry Cat has started trying to tear down my audio setup. Bear with me for a moment while I deal with that. Sorry, stream. Just give me a second while I... Well, we'll be right back. Whew. Okay, we're back. Cool. Don't you just hate that when you have to take a break from your stream because your cat won't stop maiming your audio setup? Cats, eh? Can't live with them. Oh, I love my cat. She's old and angry. Lotus is asking, is this from one of the CDI Zeldas? Yes, Lotus is of course talking about the background. The background is one of my favorite pieces of pixel art. It is one of the stages from Garo Mark of the Wolf, which is an SNK fighting game from sort of, I guess, sort of the medium end of the Neo Geo's lifespan. It's a great game. I love it. But it's also emblematic of the SNK pixel artists at their absolute peak. Like, the art that they were doing back then is just amazing. Yeah, it's Garo and the art from the significantly less good SNK versus Capcom Chaos game. It's just incredible stuff. Get dead, nerd. Yeah, if anyone ever wants to see just how committed I am to the bit of extremely good SNK background art, just DM me on Twitter or something, and I'll send you my folder of literally 80 background arts from different fighting games from all throughout history. Probably half of them are from like King of Fighters 98 and Garo Mark of the Wolf. Like, they're so good. I love them. Oh no, owned. Yeah, so we're going to take our shortcut back down to the streets of Old Yharnam. How do we do that again? Is there a better way than just flopping down here? Nah, let's just do it. Making sure not to get owned by this wolf again. Two Demon in the chat is saying that Curly has a theme, and Two Demon is absolutely right. My whole aesthetic, I hope one day to have an aesthetic as good as late 90s SNK fighting games, because hooey, it's really something. Is this wolf even here again? Does it respawn? Let's find out, I guess. No? Oh yeah. Oh. Ow. Oh hey, thanks for following whoever just followed. Because we're streaming from the PS4, I can't see your name, but thanks very much. You're great. And yeah, speaking of that aesthetic, that follow animation brought to you by Street Fighter 3: The Third Strike. I'm nothing if not consistent in my rabid fandom for fighting games. Come on, get over here, you coward. See, a really cool thing about the rally system is, I think, it's something I've not heard discussed too much, so I don't know if I'm way off the mark in talking about it like this, but something I really like about the rally system is it makes you feel more animalistic, because like that engagement there, like, I was getting staggered by the wolf's attacks, but because the rally system told me I could get health back by attacking into them, it basically just led to us sort of trading hitboxes until the wolf went down and I didn't, because I was regaining the health and the wolf wasn't. So instead of what you can also do, which is deftly dodging out of the way and placing your attacks carefully to take a beast down, you can just butt heads against it. Thanks for following whoever just followed. I'm glad you're enjoying the stream. I am hoping to get to 50 followers by the end of the month, because that means I get affiliated, which means, I don't know, hopefully something good. Oh, bullets. I wonder if there'll be some reason to use them coming up. So we get a little ascent, which I dig. It helps us, it gets us a new sort of aesthetic plane. We get a whole load more statues. And we get a view of this. Which is kind of nice colour contrast going on here. And we come back down here. Ah, yes. And we descend to the absolute bottom of Old Yharnam. Now here, we have a whole load more burned things. Burned, Old Yharnam residents. Which I think is kind of interesting. It sort of is a harbinger for all of this death that we're about to face, which, maybe you don't know yet, but I certainly do. Well, Kelp in the chat saying that there's an NPC I can summon here, and indeed there is. I believe, since I promised Alfred I'd cooperate with him, that it's Alfred. It is indeed Alfred. I am going to attach this fire paper because I might need it. So, oh yeah, and you can hear the sound of the ringing of the bell, which is again some nice religious aestheticism. Wait a minute, that's an enemy. Cold Blood Dew. Okay, I think it's time to stop beating around the bush and walk into this sort of, I don't know, I guess it's blown the hell out, whatever it is. It's got all these arches. It bears a striking similarity to a room from, I think it's maybe Artorias of the Abyss, which has a weird gross thing lying at the end of it as well. And we're about to see a weird gross thing, so Let's just wander in here and see how we do. I have sort of medium hopes for this boss. The last time I fought it went fairly well, so let's see how we do. Get some more insight, because what the hell is this thing? Now this is the Blood-Starved Beast. As you can see, it looks in fact identical to the beast that the Old Yharnam residents had strung up in their cathedral-y, chapel-y thing. And another thing I'm going to make a big deal of is, remember how I said before that the game starts nudging you into using the universal mechanics by being a bit less subtle about them this time? Well, the Blood-Starved Beast is a huge example of this for me with parrying, because the first time I came through this game, I was fresh off, like, I'd played maybe 300-400 hours of the original Dark Souls, so I really like the original Dark Souls. And I was kind of disappointed by Dark Souls 2, so I was looking for a game that could replace the original Dark Souls for me. So I fought Father Gascoigne. I fought Gascoigne very much as a kind of Soulsy boss, and it didn't go super well, but I sort of brute forced my way through it. Whereas this boss I found close to impossible until I figured out parrying. And when you look at it, it kind of makes sense, right? Because, I mean, it's this horrible, gross thing, but what we were talking about with Gascoigne having these very snappy, telegraphed attacks, well, this thing's attacks could not be more telegraphed. Like, look at the way it winds up. Like, it's not particularly clear, maybe not especially clear when you should try and interrupt that attack, but it's definitely clear that you should try, right? Like, you get years and years and years to prepare for it. So with that in mind, let's try and figure out how you disrupt it. not like that. Oh, not like that either. Another thing this boss does that I really like is that because it's this kind of monstrous boss, is you have this this thing that we've talked about before with monstrous Bloodborne bosses, where you kind of just walk, you walk behind them and hit them in the butt, which you can do. But this boss exudes AoE poison, which means that being close to it for extended periods of time is not a good idea. I'm not doing very well at parrying this boss. The good news is we're doing kind of okay damage to it, so we have a reasonable chance to kill it this time. Ugh. My pistol keeps going through that hole that its arm makes. Yeah, it's not hitting. That's really awkward. Yeah, I'm just having no luck at that, huh? I'm like less than half bullets, that's awkward. One of the things I really like about this boss is its attack is so snappy, it itself seems to get carried away by that attack vector. Like it can't it can't stop itself, it just kind of tumbles past you, which I think is funny. Okay, what I should probably do is extend my weapon if I'm not going to be trying to parry it. I'm going to juice up again. Try parrying slightly earlier. Oh, heck. There we go. That's more like it. That's not very big damage. That's annoying. Oof, big poison. Ah, dead. Right? No. Maybe not? Oh, we're okay. For now. I think I'm going to apply some fire paper. Ugh. Rats. That's embarrassing. Okay. Well, hopefully I'll spend less time just sort of failing to parry it next time. Awesome, we only got 14 vials this time. Oh dear. I think between this stream and the next stream I'm going to do a big long Echoes grind and try and get not only the weapon that we want for the next phase of this, but also just super stock up on vials and bullets, because running out of those on stream seems boring. Did I not get that one last time? Huh, guess not. There we go. So I just have to parry as soon as it moves, basically. Oh, that was too late. Oh no. That was nearly extremely bad. Well, that was really poor. Jesus. Okay. Doing slightly better this time. Ah, rats. Ah, poisoned again. Rats. Looked like I was doing quite well there, and then panicked. That's Soulspawn for you. You get punished for panicking. What do we have in the way of Cold Blood Dew, and what do we have in the way of Bloodstone Shards? What I might do is, before we continue, I might shatter those Cold Blood Dews and upgrade my weapon, because we have quite a lot of Bloodstone Shards kicking around. I'm not actually sure how high we can get with just Bloodstone Shards. I think it might only be plus 5 or 6, but let's roll the dice anyway. Alright, so that's 8 to go to plus 3, yeah, sure. And we need twin shards to get any higher. That's a shame. what I think I will do is smash the rest of my dew. Because, does that give me a level? Well, rather than a level, I'm going to buy some of the necessary items to play this game. How many things are we on? Was that... I think we're on thing number 3 I don't like about Bloodborne. Are we? I think we had 1 and 2 last time. Or maybe this was one of 1 and 2. I'll have to watch over the VOD. But definitely hate buying equipment. Buying, you know, vials and bullets. It sucks. It's the worst. You have my solemn vow that I will never grind for vials and bullets on stream, because that would be rubbish. Alright, let's have another few pops of this beastie. Two Demon says if Bloodborne used Blood Estus or whatever, it would be actually transcendent. And I mean, I think it is anyway, but yeah, fair enough. It would be better if it did do those things, but I don't know. This game's good. This game's really good. This game's good in a way that few other games are. I really thought we'd have had at least 3 Twin Bloodstone shards by now, but I guess not. I guess I don't really know when they spawn, so more fool me, I guess. Make use of some extremely generous invincibility frames on that roll and get the heck out of here. I don't think I've ever actually summoned Alfred for this boss fight. Maybe we'll do that if I die again. I don't actually know how helpful he is, if at all. Let's get some parries in. Okay, yeah. Can't parry the first hit of that combo. Worth noting. Which kind of means you need to fire and then immediately backdash. Which, you know, fair enough, I guess. I'm not reacting fast enough to do that now. That's annoying. Someone was mentioning earlier that when the flaps flap, that's a good time to parry, and I think that is super smart. I like that design a great deal. Does it try to initiate the multi-hit combo from closer? Is that a thing? I wonder if that's the thing. Rats. Let's get some fire paper on. Wow, that's quite a lot of damage, huh? That's like a whole visceral attack. Oof. Come on. Nope. Nope, I thought that was me getting thrown, but no. That was some camera tomfoolery. Ugh. Everybody loves backdashing in Souls, but when the bosses start backdashing, it's a bad time. Owned. Me owned. Ooh. Ah! Rats. When I applied that second fire paper, I thought I was using an antidote. He screamed. Yeah, I think if you're any closer than I was, well, I think if you're close there, you just get poisoned and it's a bad time. Ooh. Yeah, see, big AoE poison now. Someone was suggesting earlier I should buy some of Giswagni's clothes for the poison resist, and that's a good call. It's not one I've made, but maybe if this proves to be any harder than it is right now, I will do that. You do a big yell. Uh-oh. Ooh, that was greedy. That was extremely greedy. And that's done, which is great, because I would hate to have had to do that again. Good stuff. So, that was the Bloodstarved Beast. That was... Can I... there we go. That's an annoying fire sound. So yeah, we just got the Thumeru Chalice. I will probably talk about the Thumerians and the Thumeru Chalice, but we probably won't go to the Thumerian Chalice dungeons because they're really boring. But they have some sort of interesting implications for the world, and their nature is kind of interesting, even if the reality of the levels isn't really. So yeah, there's that. So we're just gonna have a look around in this area because I like this area. I like kind of what it represents, I guess. It's really cool to me that, like, I know it's sort of like Gothic architecture. Every building in this flippin' game looks like a church, but it's really cool to me that the absolute nadir of Old Yharnam and like what the thing that is feared by the people who are feared by the people of Central Yharnam is in this sort of, if not a church, then at least like a town hall or something, like a big important location. And again, we've got these statues, these blind statues that are nonetheless accepting something from the heavens. Dead people with antidotes on them. That's quite funny. And like, you know, just to hammer home the connection between this and Central Yharnam, like, you can still see the sky. It's still the same sky that you can see from Central Yharnam. You know, it's something that people will often use to like hammer home a connection, or at least a sort of parity between two things, is being able to see the sky from both places. But we are gonna ignite this so we can go back to the Hunter's Dream. And one last thing I want to touch on before we leave is this sarcophagus, right? Is that? That's just like a sort of a lantern thing, isn't it? Yeah. So you may remember that we got here by moving a sarcophagus out of the way. Like, what better way to hint that this cycle of sort of purging the old, the underclass from a previous age, leaving them behind and building the new world on top of them, literally on top of the ruins of where the old underclass live. What better way to hammer that home than by having the exact same thing that led you here at the end of that same location? I like that a lot. I like the choice to put this here. This level design's very good. But anyway, we're gonna trot back to the Hunter's Dream. Probably level up again. So that's the powder keg hunter badge, and I think actually we might seek out that hunter badge next, in an entirely non-murderous way. Don't worry, we're not going to kill anyone we don't absolutely have to. I'll continue to tell myself that Eileen had to die. We'll probably get endurance to like 20, and then probably start leveling skill again, or maybe vitality. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So now that we've activated the Church of the Good Chalice, so yeah, it is definitely a church. Now that we've activated this lantern, we get access to a neat little scene in Old Yharnam. Because what some of you may remember is, right at the beginning of the Old Yharnam area, Jura told us that the creatures here meant no harm to anybody, or were no risk of harm to anybody, and that essentially they were under his protection. So what if, rather than killing them as is our nature as a hunter, what if we were to leave them alone? What would he say to us then? You know, maybe there's a way that we can find out about that. Let's go ask him. Now, if I was smart, what I would have done is use those echoes on flipping blood vials and bullets, which I'm woefully out of. Right, we're not going this way. We're just going to ignore all of these creatures. Because, you know, vicious though they are kind of a non-hostile ecosystem. They don't attack each other. Just me, just the interloper. We can go up that way, can't we? Yes. Regression has just found out that we killed Eileen. Yeah. There was a very good reason, I promise. So yeah, I mentioned it before when we got to this part earlier, but Jura's minigun, well, Jura himself and Jura's minigun are just up here, and if I've done this correctly, he shouldn't have seen me coming. Oh, never mind. Okay. I guess you have to sneak up on him slightly better than I did. I don't really know why that happened. Okay, I'm just going to lose this fight if I fight it, so we'll do this another time. That's really weird, I thought that would have worked. Oh well. Oh, no, not that way. So we've killed the Bloodstarved Beast, which was our first big goal for this. Oh no. Our first big goal for this stream. Yep, that was bound to happen. I deserve that. So our second goal for the stream was originally going to be to explore the Cathedral Ward and maybe find the boss there, but I don't think we're going to really have time to do that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take us back. Well, I'm going to take us back to the Cathedral Ward, but we're going to go a different way and explore one of the other more interesting areas in this game, because I like it a lot. I wonder why that didn't work. I wonder why we weren't able to sneak up on Jura. Maybe we weren't quiet enough. Anyway, having defeated the Bloodstarved Beast, this door that was previously locked is now open. So let's go through it. Oh yeah, whoops. This is a really interesting enemy design. Like, the enemy design of extremely strong enemy that isn't very mobile, but if it catches you, it'll do a lot of damage to you, is, you know, it's not uncommon in video games, but the decision to make it a sort of loud, wheelchair-bound man is, well, I guess it speaks a lot to the kind of things it's trying to show you about the people of Yharnam, about the nature of the mob. Anyway. Ooh, runes. Oh hey, thanks for following whoever just followed. Did that enemy just pop in? Oh well. So, this is the Healing Church Workshop. One of the other optional areas in Bloodborne. And again, very interesting. Oh, I guess he's gone. That's awkward. Uh-oh. That's gone really badly. Oh, rats. I was doing really well for a second there. Oh well. We'll be back. We'll be back. So Regression is not sure they believe me that I had a good reason to kill Eileen. For the record, the reason that we killed Eileen, for anyone who didn't know until now that we killed Eileen, is that we needed her badge to get her daggers, because, as I mentioned on the last stream, but haven't mentioned on this stream, and it hasn't really come up because we haven't quite reached that stage of the run yet, is this is going to be a max blood tinge playthrough, which, if you've played Bloodborne, you know is a really foolish idea, which is exactly why I want to do it. So blood tinge is a stat in this game that determines how potent, mainly how potent your bullets are, but it's mainly to do with, as the stat sounds, the tinge of your blood, like the nature of your weird hunter blood, and is a stat normally reserved for second playthroughs of this game, but we're going to max it on our first playthrough because we're cool. And to do that, we need to fight an extremely hard boss quite early on. So to do that, we're going to need a good weapon, and that good weapon just so happens to be Eileen's Blades of Mercy, which we can't get early enough in the game unless we kill her. So, rest in peace, Eileen. At least you're free from this hell. Why do you have my blood echoes? Well, now I have them, so get owned. See, that's another cool voice line. It's all your fault. I've just turned it up. Like, I've turned up mid-hunt, but I look like every other hunter. And apparently it's all my fault. Like, these people are absolutely convinced that I am the corruption that has ruined this for them. It's kind of amazing, this theme of these people who are, you know, they're so terrified of the outsider that even when things are so terrible, like when they are visibly mutating because of the whatever the hell is going on, they think that killing me will make it go away, which I dig. Ow, big damage. Hey. So this is a cool location. Like, you can see a lot of Yharnam from this place. Like, it's very, it's kind of very centralized. It shows you the expanse of Yharnam in the way that a lot of other places in this game kind of don't, which I like. It's nice for an optional area to reward you with not just like loot and new enemy designs or anything, but like an uncommon perspective on a familiar world. I like that. The sky and the cosmos are one. The choir. What could that mean, I wonder? I mean, eventually we'll find out, but I really like the sort of the phrasing in this game. The way everything is sort of lightly abstracted with the heavy doses of gothic and religious theme that we're so used to. Like, you know, just the choir. Sounds cool. And even just the names for things that, you know, later on will turn out to be maybe not what you expect them to be. Like, what is the pale blood? We'll find out. I should maybe write a list of all the things I've told you to remember that I'll bring up again later, because if I don't, I like guarantee you I'll forget at least half of them. Okay, so I believe this is the badge that we're here for. Yes, Radiant Sword Hunter badge. So, can we get through here yet? We can't. Okay, we will later. I like this room a lot. Not for any particular reason. I just like all these pots with like candle flames on them. It's a lot in a cool, aesthetic way. I dig it. Anyway, moving on. That's the Healing Church workshop. And it's relevant that we find the Radiant Hunter sword badge in there because this is the workshop of the Healing Church, and the Radiant Hunter is, well, the badge is for the successors of a character called Ludwig. Now, Ludwig is a pretty significant character in this game, which is a pretty significant achievement considering the fact that he's not really in it. I mean, he we may find that he turns up later in an unexpected capacity, but we don't, at least in the base game, meet Ludwig. But his influence in the power structures of this game is made quite clear through Soulsborne's trademark item descriptions. Because this badge... Where is it? Where did I find it? Ah, yeah. This badge tells us that Ludwig was not only a prominent member of the Healing Church, it also tells us that he had successors. He was important enough to inspire people to follow his lead, which is interesting. That's sort of like that idea of a lineage is something that we haven't really bumped into yet in Bloodborne, but it is something that will come to be more important as we go. So we're back at the Cathedral Ward. We have our badge that we were looking for, and we've explored the Healing Church workshop. So another thing that killing the Bloodstarved Beast enables for us is it modifies this area very, very slightly. Because where before you were tempted to just go up there and sort of explore the rest of the Cathedral Ward, rather than just these sticky cleric friends, a new enemy has spawned, if I'm not mistaken. This friend, the Bagman. And the Bagman is unique amongst Dark Souls enemies because, well, for a variety of reasons that I'll discuss a little bit more in a minute. But this Bagman in particular is unique because, I mean, does big damage, but also, if they kill you, and you die, and you wait to get respawned at the lantern, something interesting happens. What's this? Could it be the inside of a canvas sack? I just really dig this because, to me and many others, this was a complete surprise. Like, the Bagman just kind of comes from, basically from off screen, and does way more damage than you're ready for. So then when you get killed by that, this like has a maximal chance to just take you completely by surprise, but also some people will just completely miss it. And I kind of dig that. This is Yahar'gul, the Unseen Village. And its exact relation to the rest of Yharnam is not quite clear to us at this point, but it will be. And something I just want to take a moment to appreciate before we sort of schlep our way through the rest of this area, which is full of actually quite tough enemies, is the music in here. The music in Yahar'gul, the Unseen Village, is very, very, very good. It takes your sort of standard, I guess, dark fantasy and also gothic inspired thing of just having ominous Latin sounding chanting, and sort of ratchets it all the way up. I really like it. This is an area where some of Bloodborne's like even darker than usual themes start to sort of they sort of come into view in a new way, because outside of this area the game has a pretty standard progression of like how the threat and the nature of the world evolves, and this kind of throws a spanner into it in an interesting way. And the first that we see of it is this character here. This person is dead in a chair with a cage fixed to their head. This is a visual motif we'll see come up again and again, and I really, really, really like it, because the like the symbolic implications here are just wild. Like, especially speaking as a hunter who is, you know, regularly visiting a location referred to by all of its attendants as a dream. Like, what it would imply to want to put a cage over your head and then die like that is interesting, to say the least. I won't talk about it too much now because, as I mentioned, it comes up again later, but this image for me is one of the most striking things about Bloodborne. I love it. Anyway. Madmen toil surreptitiously in rituals to beckon the moon, uncover their secrets. This again is like classic Bloodborne, just like cryptic and very ominous sounding messages from nobody in particular that just serve to unsettle you. Like, This is also the second reference to rituals we found on some writing that we just found on the floor. And now we know that these rituals are trying to beckon the moon. And like, what could that mean? And if this ritual is trying to beckon the moon, like, what are we supposed to infer is happening when the moon is beckoned? Because, as we will find out, the moon is successfully beckoned. And maybe not by people we would consider madmen. Maybe by us. I think we're going to go down the stairs first. So that was a character who we're going to go and say hi to, but I don't think she's going to be too happy to see us. Wait, what were the... Yeah, these aren't the clothes that we want. Because this lady, she likes the healing church. So traumatized has she been by her experience in arriving here that she won't even speak to us, which is pretty grim. We'll come back for her, but for now we can't really do anything because we don't have a way to signal to her that we're a friend. We will do, but we don't right now. Oh, hey, Mimi's in the chat. Hey, Mimi. Welcome to the stream. Get back here, you. Hey, all 3 twin bloodstone shards. That's cool. I'm probably not going to spend them right now. I'm probably going to save them for the Blades of Mercy. Hello. Ugh. It's a really grim animation. They've got like... So yeah, these enemies, they have... they're a kind of, I guess, maybe not a plant, but like... They're again, like everything in this game, something you should be thinking about the implications of for much later. Their primary mode of attack is to stick a sort of almost like a can opener in your head and try and wrench it open. Because as far as they're concerned, there might be something in your head that they want. But what, you might wonder? What could be inside the human head that someone might want to forcibly remove for themselves? That was totally intentional. Okay, 2 Bagmen is maybe more than I want to be trying to handle at this point. Ugh. So yeah, the design of the Bagmen I really like, actually. They do something very obviously otherworldly, which is kind of the first... Like, we've had monstrous enemies, but we haven't yet had truly... We haven't had enemies that are other in the way that the Bagmen are. Because they have this sort of cosmic attack that... it doesn't damage you, but it sort of staggers you, it re-stands you in like an area of effect. And I really like that. Because as they do it, they say a kind of weird arcane prayer that doesn't really like track to you as a person. And I dig it. This isn't even going to kill him, is it? Nope. Bagman's drunk. Yeah, they also have a rage mode, which makes them strang. So, there is a sort of undulating mass of thing over there. That's a boss. I am not going to fight it right now because I hate it. Or rather, I think it's very, very strong, and I do not think it will be particularly exciting for you to watch me fight it at this point in my Bloodborne career. So I'm just going to go the other way. Whoa! Oh, do you have to not kill the Dark Beast for Jura to become your friend? I'd believe that. That makes a sort of sense. So yeah, let's not go that way. Let's go this way instead. So Bagman is coming down those stairs, so we want to go up these stairs. And activate this lantern. So we can now freely enter and leave the the Yahar'gul, which is part of a collection of areas called the Hypogean Gaul. That's sort of a minefield of pronunciation. Oof. So yeah, I dig the yeah, just one tapped. They punch big. They do the big punch. So yeah, I really dig this combination of the first real sign of not just monstrous but otherworldly enemies, and also these lurching, low-down figures that attack you mainly by trying to pry your skull open. Like, that's an interesting thematic connection that will become clear at this point. Like, what are they trying to pull out of your brain? Like, does it relate to these somehow? Is it knowledge of... Did my echoes just disappear? Did someone consume them? Yes, you consumed them. I see. Interesting. But yeah, maybe these two are related in some way. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Oh no, my brains. Big pig. Wow, everything here does a lot of damage. I'd completely forgotten about that. Okay. So yeah, another thing about this place and its connection to the idea of otherworldliness is right by the lantern, right in the safest place in this hell, is another of our caged head friends, and then this. What the hell is this? And you can see it's also flanked by weird curvy statues that use kind of imagery of like squids, but also like, I don't know, I guess like sort of, this is like once a fish person and a squid person, right? This is like a sort of Lovecraft smorgasbord. This thing is trying to attack me without wanting to step into this lantern zone, and I think that's quite funny. It's sort of like an irritable like churchgoer trying to get to the prime praying spot, but you know, not wanting to be too much of a dick about it, so just activating its AoE restand power. I think that's very funny. But yeah, oh, there we go. There we go. Finally killed me, you loser. Oh, hey, Funkstar's in the chat. Hey, Funkstar. Welcome to the stream. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, so in this place that suggests a connection to an otherworldliness other than just beastliness, we have just some really grim looking statues. And even though, like, I mean, like, what is this? What the hell is this? It's a huge, weird, like, I don't know. It's clearly like humanoid, but it's also a lot more than that. It's very clearly, you know, Lovecraftian, I guess. But I think one of my favorite things about this sort of shrine, I guess, apart from one of our head cage friends who I love, I just love all of this imagery, is this. It's this statue here, because flanked by this imagery, flanked by this, you know, clear, you know, Lovecraftian, cosmic, horrifying imagery, we have this statue which looks almost identical to the ones that we'd seen upstairs, but because of the lighting and the context of it, it looks gross. Like, hang on a minute, I'm just going to see if I can get a better look. Have I got the monocular, or did I not get it? I didn't get it, so we can't get a better look. But the face looks almost, I mean, I think it isn't, but it almost looks tentacled next to all of these, well, tentacles, I guess. And that's really cool. I dig it a lot. I wonder if there's some kind of intentional visual parallel they're trying to set up here. I wonder if there's some connection between the church and some potential emergent cosmic horror. I guess we'll just have to find out. But yeah, apart from heinously strong enemies that I'll probably be grinding on off stream, ooh, there's a note. Nightmarish rituals crave a newborn. Find one and silence its harrowing cry. The idea of birth, and specifically the cries of babies, is a big theme in this game that will come up. Especially as our insight meter increases, all kinds of baby stuff will start happening. So get ready for that. And note as well the reference to the rituals. So we now have rituals that are being A, performed by spiders, B, beckoning the moon, and C, crave a newborn. Are these different rituals? Are they all the same? Do they all go together? Let's find out. Let's investigate. Jane Bloodborne's investigation crew of eyeballs. But yeah, apart from all of this fantastic imagery and sort of just loads of cool setups for later on in the game, there's not a great deal for me to do here. There's a boss that I could fight but probably won't because it's really, really strong. And yeah. Eden has noted that this note here is actually commanding that you kill newborns, and that's true. This it's written in a kind of funny way because it says, I mean maybe it has like legitimate implications. I guess it says, you know, nightmarish rituals crave a newborn, find one and silence its harrowing cry. So find a newborn, any newborn, find anyone that's newly born and silence. Just kill it. Find a baby and kill it quick. And, you know, I feel like that's not an incorrect reading of some potentially upcoming events. So stay tuned for that, I guess. But I think this is us, at least for stream time, basically done in Yahagul. This is something I like about this hub world, is the doll just goes off and does other things. She tends to graves, I dig that. She still turns around and says hi, but she's got stuff to do. You know, it's a little thing, but I like it. So I'm going to try one more time. Someone in the chat mentioned that leaving the is it Yahagul? Someone mentioned in the chat that leaving the Yahagul boss alone is potentially the activation event to get Jura to be friends with you, and I think I'm probably going to try that once more before actually probably calling the end of this stream. We've done quite a lot today. One thing I will just take a quick note of is that our ordinary Yarnum grave is a pretty sort of, this is what I would call a worker's grave. Like, it's got some scratch marks on it, but it's got a font on it. It's legible. It's like, you know, this is a reasonable grave. I mean, it's pretty ostentatious, but this is gothic horror we're talking about. Like, we've got an aesthetic to keep up. Whereas this is clearly a churchgoer's grave. It's minimalist. It's you might even say this was a church official's grave. It's minimalist. It's got, what's this? Are those seashells on the point of the grave? There's certainly a shared visual DNA between those and seashells. Could there be some kind of sea creatures theme they want us to read into this? Maybe. And then along this progression of gravestones, I mean, the end gravestone is fucked, but also appears to be bleeding, has flesh, a gravestone with flesh, which is cool as hell. But that's like a clear visual aesthetic progression. And then this one, which is the one we've just come from, has that weird sort of, I don't know how you describe that, sort of like latticed, fleshy surface that we saw on the face of that statue. And that's really cool, how that's just been here the whole time. I dig it. Anyway, let's go and see if we can have a chat with Hunter Jura. Because I like the cut of his jib and I just want us to be friends. Punch Nazis is asking if we've been to the abandoned workshop, and we have been to an abandoned workshop. This game actually has two, and we can't access one of them just yet. At least I don't think so. How do you get to the other one? I don't actually remember. We've accessed the Healing Church workshop, but not the second abandoned workshop. And I guess the Healing Church workshop is not referred to as an abandoned workshop, so... What the hell? I've never seen that before. Is that guarding some item? So it would appear. Mimi is saying I need to generate the insight from the Hypogean Gal's boss to make friends with Jura, which would be tedious, but also believable. This game has multiple events that trigger on insight generation, so if this try fails, then I will ensure I get it right. Probably for the next stream, because nobody likes watching people repeat game actions. Well, any more than can be avoided, I guess. This is, of course, Bloodborne. Repeating game actions is very much the order of the day. Oh, you can access... Oh, you're completely right. You can access the abandoned workshop from the Healing Church workshop. Let's do that. I think I will do that. Because that's cool. We'll just go and have a little FaceTime with Hunter Jura, and if he's not receptive to what we're saying, we'll just back off. We'll let him be. And I'll gen the insight from the Hypogean Gal boss off camera. Because I'm nice like that. So get hyped for the next stream, because we're probably gonna have better weapons by then. But for now, we'll just explore some of Bloodborne's sort of more cool, muted areas. Yeah, here's a combat stance, huh? Yep. Blasted Hunter's Blunderbuss. I hate it. I hate it. We've got no echoes, have we? So let's just... can't do it from a ladder. Yeah, chat is discussing the thematic chat is discussing the thematic significance of going to the abandoned workshop this early in the playthrough, and at this point I kind of have to wonder who we're preserving the order of events for, but I'm going to maintain kayfabe anyway. So we want to go to the Cathedral Ward. So yeah, I think we're going to visit the secondary workshop, and then we're going to probably end the stream, because it's quite late. But we've made pretty decent progress today. We beat the Bloodstarved Beast, which I love to do. I love to have done that. So, here we are again. Anyone who has not been here before may wonder why we came back here, but it is of course because there's more than one way to navigate the Healing Church workshop. You can in fact drop down, and you end up at... Okay, this is the second thing I said I hated about Bloodborne, isn't it? I just mentioned it earlier on when it was a less important thing. Yes, I've definitely mentioned this already, but the second thing I hate about Bloodborne is platforming. I hate it so much because it's bad, and there's quite a lot of it. Yay! Chat is pointing out that I probably want my torch for this bit, and I think you're probably right. Wow. The guy's really excited to shoot at me. Kind of jumped his cue there. Yeah, so we want to get back down to here. Right, okay. So, the first thing we want to do is drop to these planks here. There's some... Oh, there it is. Right. We want to get... Okay, I think we might actually have fucked this already. Because that is the door that we want to go through right there. And there might not be a way to get there from where we're standing. Maybe there is, actually. Maybe there is. This is not it. Yeah, I think this might be a wash. But this does provide us with a different way into the... If we go all the way down, this provides us with a different way into the... Yeah. This provides us a different way into the Cathedral Ward if we want to go this way. I don't think I do right now, so I'll probably... I don't know. I guess I'll get the items that I can get here and then probably, like, just reset myself to the lantern. Oof. Perfect. There is also a new type of enemy down here that I think I will have a look at before we're done. Speaking of graduations of beastliness, is this thing. Pulling on some real sort of satyr imagery here. Like, we've gone from just a regular ass werewolf to a standing werewolf or wolf hairy thing that has big old devil or goat horns, I guess. Look at that. That's cool. That is a much more composed beastliness than what we've seen so far. I dig it. Okay, let's try and drop down to the workshop properly this time. So, I mean, complain though I might about Bloodborne's platforming, which I will. I do think it's really neat to have an area, well, not only have an entire area that depends on you seeing this like zone, this location, and thinking, I'm gonna go this way. Like, that's classic Soulsborne design, is to hide entire areas, oh that was a mistake, entire areas off this way, like just in little, what are visually little corners in otherwise quite inviting looking maps. I dig that a lot. I dig the audacity to have that hide there. So we are going to try and figure out how to drop down properly. I'm just going to walk over here so I can actually look around at what I'm trying to jump to. And it is, yeah, I have to stand here and walk forward very slightly, I believe. Yeah, let's see if that works. God, is that going to work? I feel like this isn't going to work. This looks like it's not going to work. I feel like I need to like jump from next to it or something. I appreciate everyone in the chat saying rip before I've actually jumped. So what? What then? I have to jump from the bridge, look for a platform that juts out. What? What? I don't understand. Okay, let me figure this out in reverse. So we want to end up there, which means we want to end up there. How do we end up there? That fall will kill us or we'll miss. So we want to end up on that platform there. And to end up on that platform there, we want to what? Because this feels like it doesn't let us land there. This feels like we miss. So we want to figure out some way to Okay, so one thing I will say is, while I appreciate all the backseat driving in this instance, it cannot be time-sensitive backseat driving because the chat comments arrive on such a serious delay that by the time you've said do it now, like 2 minutes have passed. What if I jump to that? Will that work, or will I feel like I'll get caught on that. Oof. Platforming in the Bloodborne's not so good. Thank you for following whoever just followed. I'm glad watching me slowly and tediously contemplate a jump in a Soulsborne game has entertained you enough that you want to see me do it again sometime. Thank you for following. Right. It's annoying because I've definitely done this more than once before. And I'm pretty sure I didn't do it by just dropping down from there. Like, I feel like you just fall way too far to do that. Like, the best thing I can think of is jumping diagonally from here or like from there, but that also doesn't look like it works. Rats. So roll off from here onto there? Yeah, I can see that working. I think I'll probably do that. Alright, let's give that a go. Hey, thanks for following whoever just followed. I promise it's more exciting than this, or at least more interesting than this most of the time. Lit, we did it. It was easy. Okay. Well, thank you for your patience. So, here we have a familiar looking mist and familiar looking cobblestones. And this is the abandoned old workshop. If this is all giving you a sense of deja vu, that's because we've literally been here before. This area is almost a snap replica of the Geo from the Hunter's Dream. And with knowing that, it makes a kind of sense that immediately upon arriving we gained insight, because we also find the doll's outfit, which is quite neat. Like, the nature of the Hunter's Dream is something that Gehrman himself encourages you to just not think about. But stumbling upon it as a physical location in the game changes things pretty significantly. Did I just hear... There's totally some audio of someone talking or laughing in the background. Is that the soul of the doll? Neat. But yeah, like finding the hunters, like the location that we now know is the location being replicated in the Hunter's Dream as a physical space in the game is wild. Like, what on earth does that mean? Because this is, let's not forget, this is built directly beneath the old Healing Church workshop. And these two organizations that until now we've had no real reason to believe were connected, unless, wait, maybe there's some opening monologue that says the two were divorced from one another at some point. There's definitely some text in the game that corroborates that at one point the hunters were an offshoot of the Healing Church, the two organizations later going their separate ways. And this confirms that. This confirms that at some point the hunters were so intimately related to the Healing Church that they built their offices next to each other. Whereas now this lies abandoned. But the Healing Church remains very much in continuous physical space with the rest of Yharnam, whereas the hunters are scattershot and confused. Gehrman resides in a dreamscape that he pulls hunters to when they die, and all the hunters that you find outside of the dream, I mean, apart from the other player-controlled hunters that you summon into battle with you, they're all various levels of completely disaffected with the idea of the hunt or completely insane. And that's interesting. That's a very unique wrinkle of the power structures in Bloodborne. And this is the gravestone that the doll spends most of her time at. Hey, thanks for following whoever just followed. I'm going to light this lamp. Ah, we get a hair ornament that belongs... This belongs to the doll. Is it a key item? I don't know. We'll give it to her. We'll give it to her before the stream ends. This is maybe one of the more interesting reasons for the existence of the old abandoned workshop, is that we find this third umbilical cord, which I don't know, strikes me as a maybe slightly dubious translation, or just, I don't know. It sounds weird. Maybe it sounds better if you a Native American speak, if you speak, American natively. But like, it sounds weird to me anyway. But this third umbilical cord is, well, where is it? So a great relic, also known as the Cord of the Eye. So you can see, I don't know if you can see that super well on the little square, but it's got like little divots in it, which is kind of interesting. Is it the cord of the eye because the umbilical cord has eyes? We can't really see that quite too well, but yeah. Eden is saying in the chat that they mean to say third of umbilical cord, and I thought that was what it was. And look, here's the doll. Interesting. But yeah, the third of umbilical cords again feed into our theme of birth that we've been talking about earlier on in the stream, and their role in the story will become clear again. I guess I keep saying this, but their role in the story will become clear later. For now, we're just gonna return to the Hunter's Dream. Eden is pointing out that there are 4/3 of umbilical cord in this game, and that is true. You do only need to eat 3 to make a whole umbilical cord, but there are 4.
Welcome home, good hunter.
Let's give her hair ornament back.
What is this? I can't remember. Not a thing, only I feel the yearning, something I never felt before. What's happening to me? Tell me, hunter, could this be joy?
So again, this is another sort of nod to our theme of distorted flow of time, because the nature of this dream and how it pertains to the sort of, I guess, chronology of Bloodborne is really interesting, because we've found this hair ornament that clearly belongs to the doll, right? It's the only real way that we get to interact with it in any interesting way. But we come back to the Hunter's Dream, a dream space replicating the place that we got the ornament from, at which we found a static replica of this doll, or indeed this doll itself, and she can't remember ever owning it, but knows that she did. And that's interesting. As the chat was talking about, whether this dream is a dream of Gehrman's or a dream of the dolls is an interesting question. I think it's not super clear to me either way, because I guess, and I can't talk about this until later on in the game either, but there are definitely reasons to believe that the dream is not, at least not totally sustained by Gehrman. So, considering the things that we've learned about the world of Bloodborne, that we've learned about the Healing Church, and that we've learned about class relations in Central and Old Yharnam, and what we've learned about the nature of the organization of the Hunters, I think that might be time to call an end to this session of Jane Bloodborne's House of Eyeballs. So, as ever, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and it was good to see you all, and I hope you join us next week for another session where hopefully we will fight 1, perhaps 2 more bosses, and explore in more detail the ideas behind at least the presentation of the Healing Church, and get 1 step closer to our build actually paying off. While we're off stream, I'll probably grind up for some more souls, some more blood echoes even, so we can get a new weapon, and yeah, that'll be nice and interesting for us. I'll also get some new clothes too, because I like having clothes. But thank you everyone for joining the stream, and yeah, I'll see you all next time.